It is no secret that we are living in an age where instant information and service is key to keeping the world in motion. We can all agree that without the internet in its current state, our lives would be much different. Furthermore, the internet has employed us with the ability to receive nearly endless knowledge and entertainment to help fulfill our desires of our own accord. But that freedom to choose what we can do with the internet may soon disappear.
That's right, folks. I'm talking about net neutrality, and I believe the dismantling of net neutrality may have dire consequences if we do not educate ourselves on the topic. Primarily, it will affect how you spend in the future. I've done extensive research on the topic, and even though net neutrality rules are not perfect, I can conclude that there will be more problems without net neutrality rules in place. Stated in net neutrality in the FCC's 2015 Open Internet Order of 2016, 40% of the world's population uses the internet, and in the United States, 87% of the population uses the internet. Because the internet is always changing, I believe that anybody who continues to use the internet should stay informed on the changes that are being made. First, I will explain what net neutrality is, why the net neutrality rules were repealed, and how these changes can affect everybody who uses the internet. Secondly, I will offer some logical solutions to the changes that have been made to the internet. First, let's start with the problems. According to my in-class survey, 64% of you reported that you do not know what net neutrality is. Net neutrality itself is the idea that the government should regulate or ensure internet service providers, or ISPs, treat all internet data and traffic equally. As explained in CNET of February 24, 2015, FCC Chairman Michael Powell introduced 4 internet freedoms that he expected the broadband industries to preserve. These are the freedom to access content, the freedom to use applications, freedom to attach personal devices, and freedom to obtain service plan information. And thus, these 4 freedoms that came from Powell became the basic foundation for the net neutrality rules that we had from 2015 up until 2018. In 2017, when Federal Communications Commission Chairman Ajit Pai assumed office, he began work to remove net neutrality rules because he believes they suppress competition in the free market. It is also important to note that he was a previous Verizon Wireless employee. Verizon, along with AT&T and Comcast, are called internet service providers because they are the ones that you pay to receive your internet. These companies, though, should be feared if they receive too much power. One example of an ISP abusing their power would be when Comcast was caught blocking file sharing access in 2008, according to PC Magazine of 2015. This, along with many other similar shenanigans during Obama's presidency, sparked some strict net neutrality rules, that being transparency between the FCC, the consumer, and the ISP, no blocking of any websites, and no internet traffic discrimination. All of which protect you as the consumer from falling prey to shady business tactics that happen behind the scenes. So in summary, net neutrality rules have helped consumers more than hinder them. Leading up to and after the repeal of net neutrality, organizations such as Fight for the Future and even John Oliver sent out announcements to the public on how to slow down or stop the net neutrality repeal. Even Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and other pioneers of the internet felt that it was important to voice their opinion on the repeal of net neutrality, as they wrote to the Senate, the House, and the Federal Communications Commissioners. So even though Ajit Pai feels that he is in the right for repealing net neutrality and that it will help increase competition and even build small and large internet service providers in the future, there are many who still do not believe that this is the solution. To tie in the voice of the small internet service providers, a series of interviews were taken by The Verge magazine on July 13, 2017. And as explained by The Verge, they called and asked if they, the small internet service providers, were impacted by net neutrality. There were mixed responses, but the majority was no. Furthermore, during one of these interviews by The Verge, Mark Jen, the chief technical officer of a small internet provider in California named Common, stated, "While net neutrality sounds like rules and regulations, it's actually just saying everybody has to run stuff in the default mode, which is as fast as possible and great for everybody." So obviously, between all that has been going on, between ISPs, the general public, and the FCC, It seems that the underlying issue is that there is just a disconnect between the companies and the consumers. Sometimes our wants are not the same. So the solution to that is that we need net neutrality to make sure that the ISP's first priority is the consumer and not money. I have come to this conclusion based in part off of my in-class survey, where I asked, how strong do you feel corporations care about your opinion as an individual? To which 50% of you answered, they do not care, because consumers only exist to make money and maximize profits. And again, 85% of you answered that you would like to be informed when your internet provider slows down certain websites, streaming services, and file sharing. 71% of you answered that all people should receive the same browsing speed regardless of what internet service provider they pay for. Guys, this is what net neutrality was standing for. It was there to make sure that we are all receiving the same service. For those who witnessed my microtransaction speech, net neutrality can essentially be thought of as protecting the internet from becoming riddled with pay-to-win fast lanes, where those who pay more at will receive the fastest internet, while those who aren't wealthy are stuck with the slowest service. Before I conclude, let's review. Today we investigated the problems and solutions surrounding net neutrality. Remember, net neutrality was set in place to protect you, not harm you. It was set in place to keep businesses in check and to provide customer satisfaction. So I hope I shed some light on the net neutrality dilemma, and I hope you reconsider what internet you stand for. I hope that you stand for the greater good of a free and open internet.
The public is in danger!
My evening's in danger!
You tell me what my suit is, woman! We are talking about the greater good!
Greater good! I am your wife! I'm the greatest good!